хрущу. На радио не хрущу. Но это мой стрим. Alright, everybody. The live stream is going, and yeah, we don't have any frames drops. If you'll experience any issues with either the video or audio, let me know in the comments. And yeah, today we're going to go through the third part of the tutorial about how to get a URL shortener up and live in 6 hours or so. So on the first session we talked about how to create a backend. Yeah, how to set up the environment in the backend. Just wanna hear my voice, if it's alright, or if the music is too loud. It's fine. I'll get it down anyways. And yeah, so on the first session we built the backend. We set up the database. On the second session we've been building frontend with web page localization. I'll show you how it looks like shortly. And today we are going to deploy the app to Digitalocean probably. We'll set up the virtual private server, continuous integration, a lightweight framework, completely free continuous integration, and we'll set up DNS and SSL so that, you know, we look like serious guys using HTTPS instead of HTTP. Hello, X guy, and Alexei, I can't pronounce your name, sorry. Alright, so that's what we have here. We got, let's head straight to the folder of our project, which is Shorty, here. And I recently watched a couple of tutorials about React Native and React in general, React.Js. And the guy was keeping all the code samples in /code, so yeah, I use it. No webcam today. Yeah, unfortunately, no webcam today. Sorry guys. But I mean, you're not here for the webcam, right? You're here for the material I can give you. So anyways, we are inside the folder here. We'll boot up our server with NodeMon just like we did before, and look at that, looks like our Manga database doesn't work, so we'll quickly boot it up. I boot it up as a sudo on my Mac machine. It's not the right way to do that, but it's the easy and dirty way to do it. The clean and fast way. The dirty and fast way to do it. And at localhost 3000 we now have our app that shortens URLs. That's what it does. We probably should turn off my Telegram. And yeah, that's what we built with, obviously with English Russian versions. And it works. We can copy. And that's basically it. So today we are going to deploy it to the live server, and in order to do that I'll use Digitalocean. Digitalocean.com. Let me log in. I have a couple of accounts here, and I'll use the one that I use for my kind of side projects. and we'll create a new droplet. Emails delayed. Alright, Digitalocean emails are delayed. So yep, usually I put up single image like Ubuntu here 16.04, which is the stable release, and I'll start with the cheapest droplet here. I don't want to have anything too expensive for the sake of this tutorial, but you can pick up anything. Usually what I do, I scale up my droplets as it gets more and more popular. Other than that, I don't like to pay money to Digitalocean when I don't need to pay it. And yeah, Google, welcome to this room, welcome back. And yeah, so I'm not adding any block storage because our application is super small and Manga database doesn't take much space. Choosing a data center region, obviously you can put up multiple droplets in different regions, but I'll just go with San Francisco second droplets. Oh, wait a minute. I'll go with, San Francisco second, because I'll be able to add block storage later, if I'll need more space. There are multiple options like private networking, backups, IPv6, user data and monitoring. Private networks are great. Those are the things that allow you to create some kind of local network between your droplets. For example, if you have a droplet with backend and a droplet with Manga database or any database of choice, you can connect them in local database, and there will be way less latency rather than your backend server going to the internet, connecting to your database server, and so on. You don't want to have that. And we are going to keep both Manga database and our backend on the same server, so we don't need private networking. However, I will be using my SSH key. You've just seen the public key. You can do nothing with it, alright. But anyways, so that's my SSH key. That's the thing I use to SSH to my server, so remotely connect to it to execute commands on the server in my terminal locally. And I'll probably call it just Shorty. That's fine, and I'll create one droplet in San Francisco, $5 a month. That should be fine, and Ubuntu 16.04. As easy as that. Just clicking a button. That's it. While it's building, I'll open up my terminal. I'll rearrange my windows slightly. Also, that's a cool feature that I like. A cool feature that's the reason why I probably always use iTerm too. The vertical split screen. I'm pretty sure you can do it with usual terminal. But yeah, should be fine. Should be fine with iTerm. Digitalocean takes some time to boot up a new droplet. And as soon as you get the droplet, you can get the IP address. That is going to be the IP address of your domain, of your web server, where you will point your domain. So I already registered a domain for today's service. Well, I actually registered it 2 days ago. Let me sign in to my GoDaddy website. And look at my domains. I should have the necessary domain here. That's it. So that's the domain we are looking for. In a sense, that's not domain. Domain doesn't look like that. Domain will look something like fire. unicorn.ws. That's how the domain is going to look like. And then we are going to shorten URLs later on, like that. That's it. Okay, guys. So setting up virtual private machine, we just did it. We set it up on Digitalocean. It's a relatively simple process. We now have a virtual machine somewhere in San Francisco. We copy the IP address and we'll SSH there. SSH is probably the how do you call it? It's the way to execute commands on the remote server. And I'll start as a root user here. Yeah. Alright. But the very first thing you'll need to do is to set up the locale files. But I will do it later if you'll feel the need to do that. So what we'll do, we'll set up the Manga database here. And there is a guide on Digitalocean blog about how to set up a Manga database. How to install Manga database on Ubuntu 16.04. And Ubuntu 16.04 is the one we're using right now. So first, you add the assigned GPG keys here, and so that you know, to the bottom, I'm already inside my server in San Francisco. So whatever I execute in the bottom terminal will be executed in San Francisco. So I will allow getting Manga database out of that. Which frameworks do you use else in JS? Well, I kind of use Node.Js mean stack with Express.js, but recently started to use React.js, played with Angular slightly, but that's pretty much it. So we'll execute those commands line by line, and I'll add that guide to our web file so that you guys have an access to it. What we did here, we updated our repositories for software on Ubuntu, and now we are going to install Manga database. Again, this all happens in San Francisco. The power of the internet. So our Manga database is installed right now. What we'll do, we'll boot up our Manga database as the service on our machine. And Nana is a basic text editor. What I did, it created a file at etc, etc, systemd system/mongodb.service. Whatever file is there with the extension service in that folder is going to be a new service. In a sense, it's a small app that is going to boot up on start of your system. So if you reboot your droplet, MongoDB will start automatically, and if it crashes, it restarts. That's what it is. It has a configuration file. Configuration file is pretty simple, pretty short. Just says that this service is going to be boot up after we get connection to the network under the MongoDB user, and will be executed quietly with configuration being at etc mongo.config, and it's founded by probably all the users on this machine. So I'll do Ctrl+X. Yes, I am going to write it, and then I'll put it up. System control. Wait. I'll first change the configuration our Manga database. We got the storage, DB path, journal, path, and we'll need to change the bind IP. Otherwise, we will not be able to access it from the outside world. So what we'll do, we'll add our droplets IP here as one of the IP addresses, Internet Protocol addresses, to connect to this database. So we'll be able to connect to this database either when it sits on localhost or remotely by using this URL. We'll save it, and now we can actually enable our service. And you work with services in Ubuntu through system control. It's systemctl. We can try to check status of our MongoDB service. And it says that it's a schema-free, document-oriented database. That's the description we put in the config file. And it says that it's disabled and inactive, which means that. So let's enable it. Unless it's enabled, it will not be rebooted when crashed, and it will not go on with the system initialization. So what we'll do, we'll enable it, and now every single time the service will crash, it will be rebooted. If we reboot our system, this service will be booted up again. We build the status here, it says that it's still inactive or dead, so we need to do system control, start, MongoDB. And now when we'll do status, it says that it's active, everything is good, and yeah. So let's open up Mongo Chef, an ultimate tool to explore both the local and remote databases in Mongo. Well, it's booting up. Let's see if we are missing anything. Nope. Looks like we enabled all the services. We don't want to enable firewall yet. And while it's booting up, we'll take our domain name and we'll transfer it to Cloudflare. We are transferring it to Cloudflare just in case, because Cloudflare provides us with pretty good DDoS attack protection. As well as it's pretty easy to manage DNS services with it. Way easier than GoDaddy. So I usually just transfer all of my domains at premium. No, I don't want a premium DNS. I just want to manage the DNS of this domain. Oh, come on. So you'll get to my domains. You see that it's pretty unobvious how to use domain names here. So I'll get to my domain name on GoDaddy, and I will change my DNS. And yeah, that's why I transfer all of my DNS data to Cloudflare, because it's so much easier to manage it there. So we go to my products, I suppose, open up domain, and should be on the third page. But yeah, so you can see we'll try to manage DNS. Please work. DNS management, manage template. Oh, I don't quite want to manage templates. Again, create DNS templates to store sets of DNS information that you can easily apply to domain names. Okay. Cloudflare, probably. Let's call Cloudflare template name, because I didn't have any other option, did I? Alright. Oh, okay, so I need to provide the DNS records there, but I just want to get the DNS out of GoDaddy. Alright, so .ws, fire unicorn, .ws, manage templates, doesn't work. let's go back to my products. Am I doing anything wrong? I'm opening up domains. Going to our domain name. Let's go to domain settings first. Because if you go to manage DNS, it doesn't allow us to change name service. And that's what we need to do. Change name service. Manage DNS. Okay. And as soon as we go to manage DNS, an empty screen pops up. That just doesn't look right. And I need to do it as soon as possible because I want it to be resolved by the end of this tutorial. Domain log, login prevents unauthorized changes, including transfer to another register. Manage DNS, and gives me an empty page. That doesn't look promising at all. You know what? Maybe this page is full of ads, so I'll just stop running my ad block here. Nope, it's just an empty page. Let's look at page source. Yeah. Oh, alright. So something should be visible here. GoDaddy just doesn't want to show me that. Something should be visible, but it's not. Let's see if anything is... Yeah, failed to load resource. Server responded with 404. Not found. Cool. Alright. Alright. Expired or invalid parameter. Expired token. Let's reload it. Looks like something is loading and it's not loading. And the worst thing about it is that at some point this error, this thing will go away and there won't be any issues there. But anyways, so let's add site. Let's add website. It's going to be our shorty website, which is how's that called? So we have fire, we have unicorn.ws. You'll get that, and we'll take it to our name must be a valid domain name. Okay. Batch request, invalid hostname. Alright, so we'll use our usual Unicode. Enter a valid website name. I don't like it at all. Alright, so looks like we cannot host our emoji URLs at Cloudflare. Fine. So we'll point at our domain name right from, and you know, GoDaddy's user interface is so inconsistent. Keep seeing something similar to what I've seen before, but so use my domain. Okay, I want to use it. Connect to an existing website. Forward to any site. I don't want to forward. I want to set up DNS. Oh, that's why I don't like GoDaddy. My domains, DNS. Just doesn't load. Does? У меня есть набор action, который парсит страницы. Мне надо запустить все параллельно и по завершению получить результат. Как это сделать? Гляди в промисы, которые парсят страницы. Да, гляди в промисы. Promises all, в частности. But yeah, let's go to my products. I've seen templates somewhere here. So let's try to find templates. Пожалуйста, пожалуйста. Manage DNS. Templates were right there, right? So if we open it up, it should show us templates, manage templates. Let's call it differently, not Cloudflare, but Digitalocean probably. Save. And let's point our A level host, which is our main app, TTL. It's going to be, well, seriously, it has to be automatic, but anyways. So what we'll do here, we'll take our IP address of our droplet and we'll make our domain record at our DNS of our domain name to point at our IP address. Let's save it. Fine, it works. DNS management. That's our WS. Advanced features. Manage templates. Alright, so did I just use it or enter your domains to apply template? I can't remember my domain name. It was fire unicorn.ws. Apply template? Success. Your DNS template was applied to a select. Alright. So far, our template was applied to our custom domain, which means that we'll be able to point our custom domain to the Digitalocean droplet. But anyways, we did set up the Shorty Manga database with the bind IPs. We will probably need to restart MongoDB service. Let's check if it still works. It does. And we should be able to connect to it. Let's call this Shorty. Let's add a server to it. And it doesn't have authentication yet. So we'll connect to Shorty. And look at that. We are connected. Then, at Shorty, we're going to add database, which is going to be called Shorty. So that's our Shorty Digitalocean droplet, our Mongo database there. Create a database called Shorty. Let's manage users. And let's create a user. Let's call it Shorty. Let's generate a password. That password should be good. I'll probably get... yeah, that password should be good. We'll use that password here. Ooh. We'll grant some roles. In our case, will be DB admin, DB owner, read write, user admin. So we basically granted all the roles to our user, but you will need to apply roles selectively, obviously. And now we can connect to our database Shorty. We'll edit our connection. We'll be able to connect to the standard authentication to the Shorty database with a particular password, and we have Shorty name in a Shorty database. Save. So right now we should be able to disconnect from our Shorty database here and connect to it again using our credentials, and it works. Then what we'll do, we'll change our configuration. We'll actually change our service config file of Manga. And instead of just launching our MongoDB, and again, exec start is the exact command that is going to be executed when you need to start this server, when you need to start this service, we'll add out flag here, which will disallow unauthenticated connections. Let's close it. As easy as that. We restart our MongoDB. Oh, it says that MongoDB is changed on disk. It's smart enough to see that. So we'll reload our daemon and restart MongoDB. And we'll check if it still works. It does. Alright, so we just set up our database, our remote database on the Digitalocean droplet. Then we should set up our web server. We shall set up our web service up there, right? Let me quickly have a look at what do we have in our database. Where do we connect? Looks like we connect to localhost shorty, which is great. We will be using .env variables for that instead. So let's make use of .env variables. And that's another framework that you can use. We'll do npm install safe .env. Well, basically that's the framework that makes all the environment variables work well. We'll also add .env file to gitignore. Like that. And you'll create a .env file. Use dots. Then we are going to add db URL environment variables. Environment variables are usually used as a way to set up some data on a particular machine. So .env file is going to be different on my machine here locally and in San Francisco. My .env file here will just make our database to connect to localhost. MongoDB. I'll just copy paste it. That's how we are going to use it. So locally here, my DB URL is going to point at localhost. However, let's do process.env. That's how we get environment variables DB URL. However, .env file is going to be different, and that's why I don't track it with Git. It's going to be different on our server. Alrighty then. What else should we do? We should probably set up the node on our Ubuntu, because if we run which node, it's not going to come up, because node is has still not been installed on our web server. So that we don't jump around with .env files, I'll open up .env file of my Bitcoin draw. Should be good. Bitcoin draw frontend. I think I have .env file there. Up.js. I'll get the .env, copy it. That's all I need here. So .env file, .env module should be. It should be required as soon as possible. And what I did here, I required .env file, which loaded all the environment variables from .env file, and we set up the path name there. Because if you run your node from a separate folder, which you're going to be doing if you are using default Ubuntu services, it's better to provide not relative but absolute routes to paths to all of your dependencies. If you just do .env like that, it would still work. It would work locally on your machine, but it will give you some issues on Ubuntu server side. So we loaded up our .env. Let's check if it works. If it works now. And yes, it works. Which node? So we need to install Node to our Ubuntu. Ubuntu 16.04 install, and let's install Node version manager instead of just installing, raw nodes. I feel like Digitalocean has tutorials for all the possible things. So it asks us to install Node.Js. Let's install it through nvm Node version manager. We'll first update all the repositories, then we will install essential for building libs, in particular lib ssl. Yeah, let's use 154 megabytes of space here. We'll need to make sure that we are still in the folder that's accessible by us, so we can both write and read to it or from it. Let's go, let's get the install, and we will install the what's up. What should we do here? And inspect the installation script with Nano. No, I'm not going to install it. I'm not going to inspect it. I'm just going to run it. It will install the software in the subdirectory of your home directory at nvm. It will also add the necessary lines to your profile file to use the file, source profile after that. Obviously, we'll do that. We'll list remotes. We can also do each nvm now. Doesn't work. nvm list remote works though. Let's stop it. And we just want to install the latest Node version, which is done by doing nvm install Node version manager. Install latest probably. Let's have a look at what's the latest Node.js. Annex 6.10.1. 6.10.1. 6.10.1. Let's install it. nvm does everything for us. We don't have to worry about anything. And now we can do nvm list. It will list us all the node versions that I installed here and the one that is picked by default. And if we do which node, you'll see where the node exists now. Yeah, we can also do which npm Node package manager, which is installed here as well. What we'll do, we'll go to cd home, and we are going to install our project right here. What we'll do, we'll set up a small continuous integration tool called Node CD. But before we do, we'll clone it anyways right away, because we are going to use it later. So we take the HTTPS link here, we'll do git clone. That folder is cloned to node/cd, node-cd, and we now have node-cd repository right here. And node-cd is a small node app that we are going to run as a service here that is going to listen to webhooks from GitHub. And as soon as it receives a webhook at GitHub, it is going to it is going to run a bash script. And as you may have guessed already, bash script is going to update the git pull on our Shortener folder and restart the service. Probably it will rebuild the dependencies as well. And then it will send us a small Telegram call that everything is done. Alright, so we got Shorty here. What we are going to do with it? Clone, contributors, branch, pull requests. We are going to clone it with SSH. But before we do that, we will go to the settings, our profile settings, and we'll need to set up SSL connections, SSL key with our GitHub. So we go to settings. I do it for all of my servers, so that servers can access my GitHub repositories, all the private GitHub repositories. SSH key without password, because if you'll need to enter a password every single time when you do continuous integration, it's not continuous integration anymore. It's semi-automatic where it should be automatic. So let's add a new SSH key. I'm pretty sure there is a SSH key generator here about SSH, generating new SSH, and adding it to SSH agent. We'll just need this. Yeah, we'll just need to run this command. And my GitHub address looks like that. Yeah, let's save it right there. Let's do empty path phrase. And we have public key now, which is the one that we are going to use at GitHub. So we'll get it. We have our public key, which we are going to use here. And our public key is going to be called, well, let's call it Shorty, which is Shorty backend. We can call it Shorty server, because I suffix all of my SSH keys with it. Cool. So now if I do git clone through SSL path of my private repository, oh, it's public. Shouldn't have done the SSH part, but anyways, you get the idea. If you get the private repository, you'll be able to add your SSH key there. So let's clone our repository through SSH, and we already have Node/-cd Node-CD project here. We are going to also git clone our Shorty project. Yes, accept it. ls, and now we have our Shorty right there, where we can go through cd Shorty ls, and as you can see, there is no .env file there yet. What I'll do here, I'll push my changes at .env, and I created that small snippet called commit and push cap, which is basically doing git add dot, git commit whatever message is written here, and git push. That's all it does. What I'll do here, I'll do git pull, and that's probably what our script is going to be doing. So we pulled our repository. That worked well. Then we'll do touch. Oh, actually, we don't need to touch. We can do nano right away. Nano.env. We are getting our environment file here. We'll go to our Manga chef, and we need to get the Shorty password. We'll get it. I'll change passwords after that, so you won't be able to hijack it. So we got the same .env file as we had before, with probably the same URL. Let me remove it. With the only thing that differs being the authentication part. We do Shorty password at localhost. So we just create our .env file. And now we can run Node. We don't have Node mod, so we'll run Node Up.Js. It will not work because we don't have any modules. We'll need to install all the modules. So we'll do npm I. Alright, all of our modules are installed, and we can run our app on server in San Francisco. Oh, Node Up.js does nothing. We have to run node bin /www. Server is up and listening on port 3000. Let's see if it actually works. We get our URL here. And we add port 3000 there. And look at that, it works. Let's shorten a URL. Hello. No, HTTP. Hello.com. Shorten. And we got it. But look at that, for some reason we have localhost 3000 instead of, you know, our awesome IP there. How to fix it? Well, we'll probably have to fix it somehow. Views, roots, let's do hard fix. Let's just change it in index.hjs, and let's get our domain name, actually IP address up there. So we changed it in one place, and then we also need to change it in another. I think it's in public JavaScript scripts and somewhere here. Nope, I think it's in roots address. Nope, index. Yep, right here. We changed full URL. So we save it. Let's do shorty, commit and push, change URL. Let's call it base URL. You could also use process.env variables here, but I'm not using it for the simplicity of this tutorial. I'll just hardcode values. What we'll do on our server though, we will do git pull, because it's a separate machine, and we'll run our server again. Then, when getting to the same page and shorten the URL, let's shorten Nikita.ru, that's my first name. Ooh, look at that, we still get the local host. But why? That is weird indeed. HTTP Nikita.co. Shorten localhost. Weird. So we got the full URL, find long address, full URL. Ooh, we didn't do it in the right place. I actually created a couple of other files that I didn't tell you about. The first one is being shorten file. I just modified it so that we never have duplicates. What it does, it tries to generate a new URL until it gets the unique one. Get short URL. You'll be able to look at it in GitHub later. So we get the short URL, and how do we get it? We get it through get short URL through generator, and generator is our function here, and our base URL is going to be changed to whatever is in whatever IP address we are using, like that one. Copy here, save it. Let's change the base URL. Let's do git pull and restart our server. But even if it works, let's shorten URL, google.com. Even if it works right now, and it even works, I mean, it redirects all the things, right? Even if it works, we still have an issue, because every single time I push a new commit to my GitHub, it doesn't go live automatically. So we'll set up a simple continuous integration tool to do that. We have here, link is ready. It works. And everything is great. It's already live. You can use it. But let's make it the way that we don't have to first restart our app manually. Let's create a service, and I also had a service somewhere there. Let's get the service of our Then you can go to one of my most recent apps that I've built. Well, we can just go to the one that I'm working on right now. You can check it out in my other project section. But let's name at system controller service. Let's go up there. Let's see how it looks like. A simple service that boots up after MongoDB service is ready, because we cannot run our application without our Mongo database working. And it executes Node. And that's how easy it is. So let's create such service on our server as well. So let's do Nana. Let's do Nano, etc. Systemd system, and let's call this shorty.service. Again, whatever is with the service extension, whatever file is there, will be ran as a service. And let's change it slightly. Instead of running home deploy controller bin www, we will run home shorty bin www. Let's close it up. Let's close it. Now we can do system control status shorty, and it will save it will say that there is such server, which is great. So let's enable it so that it gets boots up. It boots up after we reboot our server, and if it crashes, we enable it, and let's start it. Let's get it started. Let's check if it still works. It failed for some reason. Let's see why doesn't it work. Let's start it just in case. Let's see status. Let's see why doesn't it work. And I usually use journal control for that. It's journal CTL. Then we do -u, which stands for unit, shorty, and e flag, which stands for and. Let's see why it failed. Probably we didn't specify the right name for node. So let's grab the node name here. And let's name it to the same service as well. Yeah, we don't have node right there, because if we try to execute anything there, it won't work, because we installed our node with Node Version Manager, and that's the place where node exists. We'll save this service. We'll try to start shorty. Obviously it doesn't work because we changed the shorty. Let's start it again, and let's do the status shorty. And yeah, it works. So shorty works. And if we relaunch our app here, it still works on our IP address. And fortunately, if GoDaddy works, we'll be able to do it through Fire unicorn.ws at 3000. And that doesn't quite work yet. Well, it takes some time for DNS to resolve, for the A record to finally point from a domain name to IP address. So we'll not get mad at GoDaddy yet. We'll go mad at it because it didn't get us enough functionality. So we have shorty here on the internet, which is running. And even better, if I reboot my server like that, obviously I will lose connection because there is nothing to connect to. Because, you know, because it reboots. We can now SSH to that again, because it rebooted. It says that it can't set the locale. Make sure lc and lang are correct. We will set them in a second. And if we restart our refresh our page, it will still work. So even after we rebooted our droplet, it still opens up our application, which means that our Node application started. And indeed, if we do system control status at shorty, it will say that it's active and running. Alright, so we've set up our application as a service on Ubuntu. The last thing we need to do is to set up continuous integration right there. Yeah, probably that's the last thing we need to do. So that as soon as we push our code to the GitHub sends a webhook. And to access all the webhooks of your repository, go to settings, webhooks. Accesses webhook, sends a webhook action to our server, and our server runs bash script through node cd. So let's try it. It doesn't hurt, I mean. Alright, so server is up and running on port 3000. We will go to cd on our server. We will go to cd home node cd. That's the module that is going to run a simple node application that is going to run bash scripts whenever needed. So we have node cd. We'll do npm I to install all the dependencies of it. Also, as I remember, node cd would ask us to change change our access attributes to the files that are going to be executed. In our case, it's Bitbucket, Contentful, or GitHub. In our case, it's going to be GitHub for sure. Right, well, while all the dependencies are getting installed, we'll wait for it. We have time. By the way, if you open up the short database, it will show us the addresses that they already put up. Yeah, like that. Okay. npm install is still running. We'll have to change a couple of things here, for sure. But let's set up the webhook. Well, the webhook. We add the webhook. We get our droplet, and we add the webhook. HTTP, our droplet at port 61,440 /GitHub. Yeah, just send me the push event. That's fine. So yep, it doesn't work yet because we didn't run it yet. So let's wait for... Oh, dependencies are already installed. So we can do node. Also see index. Alright. So npm I didn't work apparently. Let's do it again. Yeah, it killed something. I mean, npm I should work all the time. Maybe a file was corrupted while it's being downloaded. Yeah. Oh no, it got killed again. So let's do ls, and we'll see that, well, node modules exist, which is great. So maybe let's do node src index.js again, and it says we cannot find module express. So that's weird. So why doesn't npm install work? npm I doesn't work. Let's try npm install. Maybe that's the issue. But I is just an alias for install, so it shouldn't be the issue. Pretty much deprecated. It fetches, it extracts underscore. We've already seen it. There might be the case that we are using too much resources on our node, but nah, shouldn't be the case. Because as soon as a particular app in Node uses too much memory space, for example, or RAM, it kills the process. And in our case, I feel like it killed the npm process multiple times so far. Well, it extracts ESLint, which is great. It still works, still goes on and on. That's Google npm killed anyways. npm killed because extract goes before. Oh wait a minute. It already passed the scope, which probably means that it should be good. Still works. Let me go to our droplet here. You'll probably see that it's still creating. Our CPU usage was very high because npm module sometimes requires too much resources. Alright. Now we can finally launch our index.js, and that's what happens when we run our app. As soon as we send the webhook, so let's open up this webhook, which is push, I suppose, or just ping. No, push. Push, and yeah, it will redeliver this payload, and it looks like it worked. And we've got our payload here. What we'll do next? We'll modify this framework slightly. We will go to config.js, and we are going to change the root of our github.sh, because it shouldn't be relative, it should be absolute. In our case, because we will run this up as the small server as a service. So it will be at home node cd github.sh, just like that. We'll save it. Then we will name the github.sh, and that's the place where the magic will happen. I'll go to my controller here, and I'll name it as well. Home, deploy, controller. Actually, not controller, but node cd. And GitHub. GitHub, I said. And that's how it will look like. We'll take it out there. We'll close our controller. We don't need it anymore, and we'll get it here. It's just a bash script, which means that we'll execute each command right after another. So what we'll do, we'll head to home, shorty, we'll pull origin master, we'll remove node modules, we'll install them again, and you know what, we will not remove them. Let's get rid of that, and we will restart the shorty service. So every single time when we push a change, it will also notify us about it. You know what? I'm going to get to another service of mine. SSH root at bot.arbitebot.com, and again I can SSH to all of those web servers without password and login, just because I set up the proper SSL and SSH keys there. So here I will name home how's that called? Ban of bot, I suppose. Deploy ban of bot, and can't exactly remember that. Or maybe node cd GitHub. Yeah, just like that. And I'll grab this curl statement. Ooh, it's a pretty long curl statement. I will grab it like that. And iTerm, another cool feature of iTerm is that as soon as you select something, it's getting copied. It's a simple curl request, like that. That is going to send me a Telegram message. Instead of doing ban of bot, I'll say shorty. And I'll add shorty emoticons here, emoji here, like that. And now it says shorty has been successfully deployed through Telegram. Alright, so let's incorporate it here. Curl. Ooh. Curl. That. So as soon as everything works well, it will curl and send us a Telegram message. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now we will also set up the service for node cd. Systemd. System. We'll go to shorty service. We'll use probably the same thing, but we will call it node cd instead. Node cd service, so that it runs all the time. Starts after MongoDB, why not? And instead of running home shorty, it is going to do home node cd src index.js. And that's how it will run. We will do system control enable node cd service, and then we will do system control start node cd, system control status node cd. Misspelled the system control, and it looks like it's working, which means that the next time we'll push something to the GitHub, it is going to send a webhook to our server. Let's do it. Let's change something. What can we change? Well, let's change the URLs to our short URLs, right? Instead. So what we'll do here, our main URL is going to be HTTPS, and SSL is another thing that we're going to talk about today. .ws, and that's our base URL that we are going to use everywhere. So we'll take that. We'll go to our shorten. Has nothing to do with it. In our index, we have some stuff to do with it, like this one. Let's put it right there. Let's get rid of it. Index, and inside our index we will also change the main root like that. Save it. And yeah, just like that. Cool. All right, so let's commit and push. Change base URL to that guy. We'll run it. So we pushed it to master, which triggered a webhook event. Look at that, that's the second event here. Checkbox to the left means that our Node CD server returns success to it. And let's see if it actually worked. Looks like it did receive a request down there. But if we cd to shorty and do git status, will it be the latest one? How can we check it? Well, we'll probably just get, oh, maybe Nana. Views. Index.js, Hogan.js. Let's see if it's changed here. It is not changed yet. Huh, which means that something went wrong. And I actually experienced the same thing with with another service that I used. Let's SSH there. Don't quite remember how I fixed it, but we'll figure it out. We'll Nana home. I think it was in roots. Let's cd there. Cd home deploy node. We'll ls the sources. We will cd to sources. We will ls roots. There it is, Bitbucket. We'll nano roots GitHub. I think I changed something here, like payload.ref. I think it was payload.payload. Yeah. For some reason we have to do payload.payload. So we'll get straight to it. Let's try to do Nano. Let's cd back. Cd to node cd. We'll Nano src roots GitHub. And let's see how payloads, what payload is. Payload is the thing that gets sent here. And fortunately, if everything is alright, we will be checking the payload.ref, which is going to be the payload here. But for some reason, with the newest version of Node, sometimes that just doesn't work. And payloads have to be accessed through another reference, like not just payload.ref, but payload.payload.ref. Or maybe differently. I can't quite remember it. Alright. So how did I change it? Let's console log. Payloads. Let's just console log. Payloads. Let's save it. Let system control stop node cd service. and we'll run it ourselves. Nano, actually Node, src, index.js. So we run it, we redeliver the payloads. Sometimes you have to debug it, guys. This sent, and we got the payload logged in. And it looks like we have to go another way to go to payload, and that looks like a string to me. So what we will do, we will name a github.js again, and instead of just checking the payloads, let's create a variable. Payloads equals to payloads, and we are going to parse it through JSON. PLD, and then here, instead of checking the PLD ref, payload ref, we are going to check PLD ref. So yep, sometimes you have to do some tweaking of code straight in your server, unfortunately. Just like that, it works. Let's restart system control, start node cd. Let's restart this service. Let's redeliver the payload, and this time we should be able to receive a response from server, and we should be able to reinstall everything after pulling the new score from GitHub repository. Give it some time. Alright, so for some reason it still didn't work. Instead of doing that, we'll stop this node cd service. We will run it ourselves. We'll first name the github.js again, and we will see how it looks like. The PLD here. Let's do console log PLD, just like that. Let's run this service. Let's redeliver. Yes, redeliver this payload. It got right there. And it looks like this time we are able to access the ref. There's going to be refs heads master. Alright. So we'll name it again. We'll check if. So we get payloads. Then payload.ref. Ref heads master. Let's do payload.ref this time. We debug it right away, right in server. I'm proud of myself. Not enough. Permission denied. Did we? Did we change the... No, we didn't. Oh, come on. So we forgot to change the permissions to the files that we're going to use. They aren't accessible by our node script. We'll do that. We'll name our GitHub again. We will remove the line with payloads, and I'm using console log. I'm using Control K to remove the whole line. We'll run it as a server, so system control as a service. System control starts node cd service works. Let's quickly log status. It works, and now if we redeliver our payload through webhook, it says that Shorty has been successfully deployed. because that's what it is. It was successfully deployed. So now, every single time when I commit new changes, it will instantly appear at our web service. So yeah guys, I just taught you how to boot up the simplest continuous integration ever without paying a single dollar to those guys. Let's try to get to our server now through fire unicorn.ws. And it says batch request invalid hostname. Why is it invalid? Feel like I was fooled with those guys when they sold me this domain name. It says domain name is invalid. But why? The request host name is invalid. Alrighty then, let's do 3000 then. Will it still say that it's an invalid host name? Feel like it should. Let's add HTTP prior to it. Wow. Why did I even bother buying this domain name? Too bad. Doesn't work. So what else can we do? Or maybe it's not even the domain name I'm looking for. Maybe I'm not using the right domain name. Maybe mine is different. My products. Domains. Oh, this UI looks so old to me. Where is it? 11 domain names. So that's it. XN. But that's exactly right. Why is it invalid? Emoji URL invalid. Hostname 400. GoDaddy problem. Just need to wait a few days. Okay. So yeah, it looks like we have to wait a few days for the DNS to resolve. Oh, that's too bad. But anyways, even if we have to wait for a few days for the DNS to be resolved, it is still up and running on our IP address. And as soon as the domain gets resolved at GoDaddy, we'll be able to use exactly the same thing as before. The only thing that's different, that is going to be different, is... So let's get that. So you see it goes to hosted DOM. The only thing that is going to be different is going to be the Nginx setup with SSL. But there are plenty of tutorials on the internet how to add SSL to your website, which is HTTPS. And there is a wonderful website called Let's Encrypt. It basically gives you 3 HTTPS certificates. And they also have Serverbot here, which is a small software that allows you to basically generate all the certificates you need automatically. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this series of tutorials, guys. We built a simple URL shortener. Just like that. You know what? So that you are completely sure that everything works, let me add a link to Shorty on the bottom. Maybe not the Shorty. Where should I add a link? Something. Let me add a couple of emojis here, so that you see that as soon as we push. Let me add that emoji and that emoji. So as soon as we push our code to the GitHub repository, it will instantly issue a webhook which will trigger the redeploy of the server. And you can see that yes, it has been redeployed. And that's basically it for this series of tutorials, guys. Thank you a lot for being here. Thank you a lot for watching me struggle with all those technologies. And I hope it helps you to understand Node.Js and some of the front-end stuff better, and about how to deploy a server. As you see, in 6 hours, you can pretty much create a fully working web service that has multiple languages, that is error-prone, I think, error-resistant, right? And yeah, it's just fun to use. I think I am going to use it a lot later on. Yeah. As soon as my domain gets resolved, finally. Because that doesn't look good. Yep. Let's try our third bot. Anyways, let's try to see if it might work. Let's try to create a SSL certificate. Maybe the reason why it says unresolved domain is because maybe the reason is because we didn't set up the SSL right. Let's install the serverbot. Yeah, continue. And we got serverbot only standalone. I usually use standalone here. And we just run those commands one by one to obtain the certificate. And let's use our domain name. Which is that one. Just like that. Nope. I accidentally added lots of HTTP things here. We don't want to have those. We just want to have domain name. Email address. That's my usual email address. Agree. Yeah, why not? So it starts HTTPS connection. What it does, it creates a web service here. Oh, it failed to fuse it. So what it does, it creates a small server. It boots it up here. that listens to the verification, and then it tries to verify that this server exists at that particular URL. And if so, it means that you have authority, and it will generate you certificates. But it looks like DNS still didn't go through yet, and our DNS isn't pointing from GoDaddy to our IP address just yet. Let me have a look one more time at the DNSs of my WS domain. Alright, so it just logged me out. Cool. And let's manage DNS. I feel like so. And it still doesn't work. Coolio. Domains. All domains. We'll have DNS management here. No? Never mind then. It should come in a couple of days. But other than that, that was it. We developed the backend, developed the frontend, and we deployed the application to the wild, to the jungle, so that everybody can see it and can use it. You can use it as well, guys. And yeah, thank you all for being here. As usual, guys. As usual, bros. Stay awesome. And I think that's the end of the stream. Thank you a lot. Bye.